your listeners know the extent and the extremes you went to uncover bad companies?
Um,
I'm not sure they do. Eh, Would you do me a favor? Would you humor me? Do you want to tell that story about the time that you flew to a third world country and rented a motorbike?
uh,
I mean, is it a? I You told me the story. I don't know if it's something you're gonna edit out, but when I heard that story, it it told me a lot about who you were as a person, and I really admired that because it was the craziest thing I think I've ever heard in the context of analysis of a stock.
yeah. Okay. I'll give you a story.
Yes, please tell the story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna lean back, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm gonna get the popcorn. Now be prepared. This is one that Tom Cruise could have featured in.
Absolutely. I was thinking, so it's chapter 5 in my upcoming book. I was thinking of turning it into a screenplay or something, and
And you should.
it's, but yeah. So you know, early on, I had some initial success. It was just like, I made my first six figures, let's say. First is like life changing. You make your first six figures like super life changing. After so many years of struggle, So after 3, 4 years of struggle, break even, slightly red, slightly green, I finally have a breakthrough. And I moved to Puerto Rico. There's a lot of traders in Puerto Rico, successful traders. It's a tax haven. They have a lot of tax incentives for traders, so it attracts them. And kind of similar to Dubai for Americans. So I go there. I meet a lot of traders there, successful traders, and I network with them. And I find these short reports uh, outlets that are there, some people that are part of it. And this is what I was like learning and researching on my own for 3 or 4 years. I used to just dive deep into all these research reports of short selling. Anyway, I have this huge chip on my shoulder because like I'm in more student debt than my profits. So my profits are still, I'm still digging myself out of a hole. So and I feel like I was like I did everything right in my life. Like 10 years, I went to school, architecture, all this stuff. And I felt like, man, it was just like I was misled. Now, like I was just going to work for a slave job the rest of my life. While these people in the stock market, especially these scam companies, they get filthy rich. So I was like, I did everything right. And I got in a bad position and they're doing scams and getting super rich. So I was like, not on my watch. So I was like, I'm gonna go down there and expose these guys. I don't care what it takes. And I was waiting for that opportunity to do it. Then finally, this opportunity showed up. It was an extreme one. I didn't think I would. I always thought it would be if I were to show up in someone's door. It would be in a regular country or something. A regular situation. So this one showed up. It was a marijuana company out of Colombia, Bucaramanga, Colombia. It's a city in the middle of nowhere in Colombia, in the mountains. And because people know Medellin, they know Bogota, but Bucaramanga is an obscure place in the mountains. So I tell my friend, hey, this is a pump and dump company. I found some promotions that they were a part of, all the sketchy stuff. The underwriter was sketchy. Everything was sketchy about it. And I find all this dirt. And I spent a Friday and a Saturday all night in the office. And then on Sunday, no, no, yeah, no, on Saturday night, I presented it finally, the where the location was to my friend, Adam, which you met at the conference. And Adam, I was like, Adam, okay, I found the location because I had been pitching this thing for a few days leading up to that Saturday. Then I found the location through an Instagram post and a Google Maps, and because they don't want you to know their address. So I found a body of water in an Instagram post that they had their signage, and then I found the only body of water in the Google Maps. And I was like, aha, I found the location. I found it. I'm going there. And I told Adam, I was like, all right, Adam, look, I found it. I'm willing to go there. I'm going to fly in. He's like, wow, you're really going to do it? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. You want to come with me? He's like, no, no, I'm not going to go with you. And then I asked another guy in the office, another Adam, Adam Jarrett, which he was supposed to come to our conference, but he had something else to do. He was opening up a new business. But anyway, I told Adam Jarrett, hey, you want to come with? And he's like, no, no, man, I'm good. You could go. And I was like, I'm going. And I outweighed the risk reward. I was like, okay, um, you know, this might be I could I don't know what's going to happen there. They so both Adams told me, you could die down there, this is dangerous. And I didn't even see that. I was like, okay, if I just was thinking about if this is a success, I gain credibility, uh, you know, I can have, oh, by the way, my YouTube channel just started at that time. I had the videos up at that moment. I was like, okay, this could be content for my channel, Friendly Bear Podcast, the first time it goes live on YouTube. Um, and then I can make a name for myself and I can make some money from this. And yeah, so um, and then I knew it was going to be, if it's a success, which most likely it would be, unless I die, then I could even write a book about it. Look, it's a chapter in my book, and I'm explaining high level, fundamental concepts with this, like lockup expirations and stuff, because the company was pumping their stock into a lockup expiration so the insiders can dump. And the insiders, one of them was a guy connected to Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, back in the day. So this is a totally sketch company. Anyway, I on Saturday night I okayed it with Adam. Adam drove me to the airport. Uh, he wished me luck. And Puerto Rican airport. I go to Panama, layover, then Bucaramanga, and I land in the Bucaramanga airport. So the city's known for parasailing all the way in the mountains. And so I stayed at a hostel. I booked a hostel, and the hostel owner picked me up that night. It must have been like 1 in the morning. He picked me up in a motorbike in the back. I was riding the motorbike with my laptop in there. I had my whole bag, like with the laptop, cameras, everything. And he's swerving on down the mountains. I stay at the hostel, and the hostel was strategic because like I can ask people there these kind of questions, and I can act like I'm a tourist or something. So like a low level tourist, so I'm not like a short seller or whatever. So I came in the guise of an investor. So I was like, I'm looking to like they didn't know that, but I told the hostel owner, I was like, hey, I want to check out this site. Can you take me there in the morning? He's like, you want to go there? Like, why don't you let's go parasailing? I was like, nah, I don't want to go parasailing. Next time I'll go to the I need to go to this site. And he's like, okay. So he didn't even know what I was going there for. I didn't explain to him anything. I told him, if you can just take me there. And so we both rented motorbikes in the morning. It was a 3 hour journey, and we had to like maneuver here and there. And yeah, it was rough. And there were no roads. It was mud. So mud trails. There's no roads. So when I came back, eventually Adam told me, wow, that's the checkmate. We got him. Because the longs that are defending this stock, because there's a lot of longs that unfortunately they get misled to buy the shares. They think this is the future or whatever. They have to come to terms that there's no infrastructure. So the company was saying they're gonna ship marijuana for 6 cents a gram all over the world and revolutionize marijuana in the industry. And without how they're gonna bring the marijuana down from a 3 hour journey down up the mountain. So like it didn't make any sense. So it's like they need helicopters to take down even if they had marijuana, which they didn't have marijuana. So, anyways, I continue 3 hours up the mountain, documenting everything. Um, at the gates, one exec that I had done the homework on, his name was Javier Franco. He showed up. So when he showed up, I was like, wow, this is the guy I was researching. He makes a $50,000 salary. He's a nobody, He's like he's just a pawn for the marijuana company. So, anyways, he comes to me. I had arranged a tour beforehand, and because I was making phone calls and the supposed office in Canada, supposed office in Miami, and I coordinated a tour, and then they denied me a tour, which that was documented through a pen camera. I had a pen camera right here. And then we got in a scuffle. And then like some security, like some skinny tattooed security, they look like cartel. I don't think this was any security. And they had guns and stuff. And there was one heated moment where they were all looking at each other when the Javier Franco said, "What is that?" He said in Spanish, like, "¿Qué es eso? Es un huequito." And then which means there's a hole in this pen. There's a hole, like that's not a pen. And then they looked at each other, And I could like at that moment I was like, okay, I got to get the hell out of here, and I'm probably a goner, So I just jumped on the bike and left. But if I didn't jump on the bike, and I reflect on this in the book, if I didn't jump on that bike in that moment, I think they would have grabbed me because like that was their moment of justification. Like I was there and I was causing a scene because I wasn't just gonna. They were telling me to go away, but I was like, I'm not gonna just go away. Like I flew in here, I traveled 3 hours up the mountain. I gotta go for a tour. So it was all recorded. I was like, I'm not gonna just go. So when I told them that, I was just straight up with them. I was like, I'm not gonna like. I just drove 3 hours up the mountain on a dirt bike. I can't just go away. And I flew over here. I told them I'm an investor de Miami. I'm an investor from Miami. I went all this journey. I'm just gonna turn around. So then it was heated, and at that moment, there was one moment when they pointed out the pen camera. I was like, uh-oh, now this is gonna get bad. I just jumped on the bike and left. But if I would have just pushed the envelope a little more, I think they would have grabbed me. There was a shed in the back. I saw the shed. They would have threw me in the shed, and there's no Wi-Fi there. Nobody knows where I'm at. I think I would have just that's it. It's a Colombian cartel. So I made it down from the mountain, 3 hour journey back down. Um, the whole time it was the most torturous ride because the whole time I'm like, those thoughts were going through my head of like, if they get me here, like I'm gone. Like this is really the middle of nowhere. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I made it back. It was a successful report. We had all the footage. Uh, we checkmated the pumpers. There was pumpers involved. There was one pumper guy. He was saying that he went there with the uh how you say a motorcade of Hummers. He had photos of Hummers, and he's like, guys, we just went with the motorcade of Hummers, and we found the most glorious marijuana cultivation facility in the world. So that was shut down because they don't even have roads. So I was by going to the site, you can call BS on a lot of things. So it was good. It's just dangerous. But in life, I think it's risk reward, and a lot of good has come out from that one trip. It kind of like I was taking a, I was like low on the totem pole in the office, as Adam would say. Uh, and then after that, I gained a lot of respect from my colleagues and now a lot of my friends. Because like when you're moving up, it's like who is this guy? And then like now they know who I am, they know what I'm about. They saw my work ethic, they see how like the drive that I have. So even so I found that even some people, because in a trading office, there's a lot of politics, office politics. Even the people that didn't like me, not everyone's got to like you, they respected that and they respected my work ethic. They respected my drive. And now we even started to develop a business relationship. So it really helped. And, in life, it's all about risk reward. So that risk was my life. I would never do that again, but it was good for that moment in my life.
What was then the outcome? Or what happened to the stock once you published your findings?
Yes. Okay. So with stocks, there's a with a lot of these companies, there's a 180-day lockup period. So
Yeah.
that stock. Now, the worst companies, they pump up into the 180 days because they're manipulating it. And then the insiders, they're greedy and they dump it. And in this case, it's like the moment it unlocked, which was it was a race for me to get there because I knew that lockup period was ending any second. It was within this like 2 or 3 day range. I was like, the lockup expiration is one of these 3 days. And they didn't make it really clear in the report because there's weekends and holidays. So you can't just count 180 days. So I narrowed it down to this like 3 day period. And it was a race for me to get there because like a lot of times the worst companies just dump right after that lockup period. They don't even wait a second. They just dump it. And I was there exactly during that period because when I was being confronted when I was confronting the Javier Franco and the cartel, um, that was the all-time high. That day specifically was the all-time high. Um, in fact, my phone didn't have Wi-Fi, but when I got back to the hostel, Both Adams were saying, "Wow, did you see it? All-time high is $25." I'll never forget. All time, I was like, "Wow!" So the whole time I was there, the stock was doing a blow off. It was, and I had no idea because I had no Wi-Fi. So I was heading into like the lion's den because they were pumping this thing as hard as they can for that last pump before the how do you say, the capitulation, the dump. So
Yeah.
immediately after that lockup period, and then I think when the exec Javier Franco saw that hole on the pen, and he's like, that he was telling me, I see your camera. You're not an investor. That's what he was telling me. Um, Without telling me. I picked it up. I was like, okay, this guy, they know, they're on to me. I'm out of here. When they saw that, who knows? It's like, who knows? But like, it probably encouraged them to dump whatever leftover they had because that stock just crashed after that. It went from $25. Yeah, within like a month, it was like a couple dollars. And then that was 2021. And ever since then, they just been destroying it. It's still on the market, but they shifted from marijuana to like CBD and some other thing. Um, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was
Well, a
a wild one.
crazy story. You remind me of these two investigative reporters from the Washington Post, was Woodward and Bernstein. The ones that uncovered the Watergate scandal. In
Yeah.
the 19 yeah in 1970, whatever it was, 71, 72. Yeah, you're a Woodward or Bernstein, David.
Oh, Watergate
Anyway,
was a crazy one. Yeah.
yeah, it was.
So
Well, anyway, well done.